Hello everyone and welcome in. I'm going to be talking through my sample pack and how I blend those sounds into a mixing session using Steven Slate's Trigger 2 as well as various other mixing techniques. I've created a sample pack with live drum sounds that I've recorded in amazing studios with the help of amazing drummers along the way. And after the previous video where I showed how to get the sounds into your mix session using Trigger, I now want to show how to blend those sounds in and to make the kit feel like a natural, cohesive unit. So in front of me here I have a session that I mixed for the great Arnetta Johnson from her debut album, If You Hear a Trumpet, It's Me. And for the sake of having a cohesive kit throughout the album, I sampled the drums from the first song, Juice and Candy, and threw those onto some sounds that I felt weren't cutting it for the subsequent songs. So, as you can see by the track that I have enlarged here, I want to talk about the floor tom in this song, Take Me To Is Real. So let me actually show you guys the clip of what we're going to talk through. This will be the full band with Jungkook Kim on the drums. Goes by JK, an amazing drummer from South Korea who I believe is tearing up the scene in New York now. And yeah, I'll just let his drumming speak for itself here. So yeah, if we take it from scratch here, let me turn off these plugins, pull the audio file out, and see how we originally received this. Yeah, so as you can see here, the first thing I did was to manually gate the tom, so I just stripped out the parts where he didn't play the floor tom so they couldn't accidentally trigger the trigger and we get a whole bunch of extra floor toms we didn't ask for. If we take it step by step here, let me just turn on just the trigger plugin and we'll look at that. And I'm going to take this time to circle back to the previous video. That is going to talk about how we set these things up. This video is just going to go from there and explain how I implemented different blending techniques to make the kit circle around as a whole. So if you want to learn how to put the samples into your session, please refer to the previous video that will be in the description. So we have the floor tom here, Juice and Candy floor tom loaded up. I just made sure that my volume threshold was at a good level to still get JK's intricate dynamics translating into the plugin. Because typically I get lazy, especially when I've stripped the audio file the way I have, to just raise the volume to max and make sure everything crosses the threshold. But to maintain JK's dynamics, we need to find a number that upholds that. Then after bringing the volume down some to match in, we have this. And to me, while I was mixing this, I just felt that it really sounded fake due to the high end. So I turned on this EQ and just pulled some of that down. I wanted it a little fatter as well, as you can see by the EQ, but not being too rumbly with that high pass filter. Yeah, so I thought that fit in pretty well. At least it made it pretty easy near the end with the individual hits. But then there were occasions where JK rolls into a note, and the dynamics were very important to not make it too heavy. So in this situation over here, I added some automation. Let me show you what it would sound like without the automation. And then if I add the automation in just to kind of support the dynamics that JK originally played in, it would sound like this. And that's pretty much all I did for this floor tom, at least in the example of this song. You observant folks watching this video will probably notice that the kick drum also had some triggers going on with it. So if we first look at the original kick signal I was given without the plugins. And now let me turn the plugins on to show you my best shot. So yeah, you can tell there's not a lot of oomph in that kick drum. So I added this first trigger to give it a more impactful real kick drum sound. So you can see I use the finesse in and out sample here. And the interesting thing about this one is I boosted the out signal just to get it a little fuller. But for the in signal, I dropped the tuning down of that sample 38 cents. I'm not sure if that's cents or exactly what that is. To fit in more with the other kick drum, I felt like I needed to tune the click of the kick drum down some to match the other drum. And then again, a little bit of EQ, but that was just to calm down that click a little bit more. Halfway through while I was mixing, I received some extra stems of a lot more electronic elements. So you can see by this other trigger signal that I was trying to match the electronic impact of the song. So I have this sample that's not in the pack called Beefy Kick. It's not in the pack because it's an electronic sample, and we're obviously focusing on live samples. But yeah, Beefy Kick, and I put that in, needing to detune this one quite a bit as well to match the other two kicks. And then we check out that EQ that I put on there as well, and that's just a low pass because I guess I didn't need any more impact out of it because I got it in the real kick. And that's pretty much it between the kick drum and the floor tom for this song. Then typically I make sure I send all the right tracks to the same reverb so I have the same space going on for the kit. In this case I didn't. Typically I only really send snare and overheads to reverbs, but if I had a snare trigger going, I would need to make sure I sent that to the reverb just to make sure that cohesive space is going on. And yeah, after that, it's any normal mixing decisions you would make for yourself if you felt like the sample needed to be compressed some more, or even distortion or much heavier EQ. That is all up to you as the mixing engineer. If you feel like it makes the blend work more, then go for it. This is only what I had to do to make this song fit. But I hope this helps you take your mix to the next level. If you haven't already checked these samples out, there will be a link below in the description for that. Also, there's the previous video if you need to check back how to put the samples in the first place. And other than that, this is Bas Jansen. Thank you again for checking this out, and hope you have a great mix.